If you ask a man in his 30s what he regrets, he might say, "I should have worked harder." Ask a man in his 50s, and he might say, "I should have spent more time with my family." But ask a man on his deathbed, and he won't talk about money, promotions, or even mistakes. He will talk about time, the things he wanted to do but never did, the words he never said, the risks he never took. Regret is slow poison. It doesn't hit you all at once. It settles in over time, creeping into quiet moments when you're alone. It whispers when you scroll through old photos, when you see an old friend you haven't called in years, and when you watch someone else live the life you once dreamed of. And the worst part? Regret is always about what you didn't do. But here's the truth. Regret is a choice. You can either let it consume you, or you can use it as a lesson. You don't need a time machine to rewrite your past. You only need the courage to make different choices today. Because the biggest tragedy isn't making mistakes, it's living so carefully that you never truly live at all. What is something you wish you had done sooner? What's stopping you from doing it now? Share your story, because sometimes speaking it out loud is the first step to moving forward. Let's get started. 1. Regret is a choice, not a sentence. Have you ever asked yourself, what will I regret most when I take my last breath? It won't be the times you failed. It won't be the mistakes you made. It will be the things you never did. The words left unspoken. The dreams left untouched. Regret doesn't hit you all at once. It's slow, creeping into your thoughts when you least expect it. It whispers when you scroll through old photos, when you see an old friend you never reached out to, when you watch someone else live the life you once dreamed of. And the worst part? Regret is always about what you didn't do. Most people think regret is inevitable, an unavoidable part of life. But the truth is, regret is a choice. You can let it consume you, or you can use it as fuel. You can spend your life looking back, or you can decide right now that your past does not define you. The past cannot be changed, but how you carry it can. A man, 58 years old, sits alone in a bar. Every night he comes here sipping his drink, lost in thought. He doesn't talk much. He just stares at the counter, replaying the same scene in his mind. A love he lost when he was 25 because he chose his career over her. He has everything now. Money, a big house, a prestigious title, but none of it matters when the bar closes and he goes home to an empty house. Regret is his prison, not because of what he did, but because of what he didn't do. And then there's the man who skips every class reunion. Not because he doesn't have time, but because he doesn't want to face the friends he abandoned when he was younger. The calls he never returned, the friendships he let fade. Or the father, divorced at 45, who watches his son from across the room, wondering if there was something he could have done differently to keep his family together. Regret does not need chains to hold you down. It lives in silence, in hesitation, in the moments where you let life pass you by. Regret thrives in inaction. It feeds on avoidance. The more you dwell on the past, the more power it has over you. But here's the truth. You are not bound by what has already happened. You are bound only by the choices you make now. If you want to break free, you must start by reframing your past. Most people look at their mistakes with shame. But what if you looked at them with gratitude? Every mistake, every failure, every missed opportunity, it all taught you something. It shaped you. If you learned, if you grew, then was it truly a failure, or was it simply the price you paid for wisdom? Because here's the thing. Regret only exists if you let it dictate your actions today. The man at the bar, he could call her. He could call her. Maybe she moved on, maybe she didn't. But one phone call would bring him peace. The father watching his son? He could step forward, speak, apologize if he must, show up today instead of drowning in yesterday. And you? Whatever it is that lingers in your mind, whatever it is that makes your chest tighten when you think about the past, there is still time. You cannot change the beginning, but you can rewrite the ending. When you wake up tomorrow, regret will try to creep in again. It always does. But this time, ask yourself, if I keep thinking about this every day for the next 10 years, will anything change? If the answer is no, then why give it power? What matters is not what you did or didn't do. What matters is what you do now. Stop replaying the past like a broken record. Stop punishing yourself for things you can't undo. Instead, make today the moment you start again. Because the biggest tragedy is not making mistakes. It's living so carefully that you never truly live at all. You will never have complete control over everything that happens to you, but you have full control over how you respond, how you move forward, and how you write the next chapter. Most people live trapped in the past, waiting for some perfect moment to change. But here's the truth. No moment will ever be perfect. The only time you have is now. It doesn't matter how many years you've spent dwelling on something you cannot change. It doesn't matter how many times you've wished things had gone differently. The only thing that matters is the action you take today. Maybe that means letting go of a past mistake. Maybe it means calling someone you've lost touch with. Maybe it means forgiving yourself. Whatever it is, take the first step, because regret is not your fate, it is your choice. Right now, take one step forward, call that friend, say what needs to be said. Take the first step toward that dream, because the only real regret is doing nothing at all. 2. The biggest fear is not failure, it's never fully living. Every morning, my father would sit on a park bench watching the joggers pass by. His eyes follow them, not with judgment, not with envy, but with quiet recognition. Once he could have done the same. Once his legs were strong, his breath steady, his body eager to move, but he waited too long. Now his knees ache, his back stiffens, and the time to run is gone. Some regrets hit you all at once. Others settle in over time. The things you put off, the moments you assumed you'd always have, the dreams you promised yourself you'd chase one day. Then one day, you wake up, and one day is gone. Most people fear failure. They fear trying something and falling short. But failure is nothing compared to the pain of never trying at all. The biggest tragedy isn't making mistakes. It's living so carefully that you never truly live. The world tells you to be cautious, to be responsible, to wait for the right time. But what is the right time? When exactly does life give you permission to begin? You tell yourself, I'll start when I have more money, when I have more time, when the conditions are perfect. But perfection is a myth. Time is indifferent, and every day you wait is a day you never get back. Ask anyone at the end of their life what they regret most, and they won't tell you about the risks they took. They'll tell you about the ones they didn't, the things they were too afraid to try, the words they were too scared to say, the moments they let pass because they thought they had more time. You may regret mistakes, but what will haunt you more are the things you never did. The dream you let wither because you feared judgment. The trip you postponed because you thought you'd have another chance. The people you never made time for because you assumed they'd always be there. A man works tirelessly for decades, saving for retirement. He tells himself he'll enjoy life once he's secure, once he has enough. And then he gets there, only to realize he's too old to enjoy what he once dreamed of. His health is failing, his body is tired. The adventures he put off now seem impossible. Or the woman who always wanted to write a book. She had the ideas, the stories, the passion, but she kept waiting. For the right time, for the right motivation, for some sign that she was ready. Years passed, then decades. She never wrote a single page. Or the father who thought he'd always have time to reconnect with his children. He thought he could wait until they were older, until they understood, until he felt ready. But time didn't wait. One day, he reached for them, and they were already gone. We like to believe we control time, that we can pause life until we're ready. But life moves forward whether we act or not. The only thing worse than failing is looking back and realizing you never even tried. So what's stopping you? Fear of embarrassment? Fear of rejection? Fear of being seen as foolish? None of those things matter in the end. The people who judge you now will be gone one day, just like you will. Their opinions will fade. Their voices will disappear. But your choices, they stay with you. If you want to live without regret, stop waiting. Stop overthinking. Stop looking for permission. The only time you ever truly have is now. You will never be younger than you are today. You will never have more time than you have at this moment. And if you don't act now, then when? Because the harsh truth is this: one day your body will betray you. Your energy will fade. The things you take for granted now, walking, running, traveling, speaking, loving, will not always be options. The time to use them is today. So take the trip, start the business, write the book, say the words, do the thing that scares you. Because regret is not the result of failure. Regret is the result of never even trying. 3. Prioritizing yourself is not selfish. It's a responsibility. A few years ago, I was the person who always said yes. Yes to more work, yes to obligations, yes to everyone except myself. I believed that pushing through exhaustion was a sign of strength. That putting myself first was selfish. That one day, after everything settled, I would finally have time for myself. Then my body decided otherwise. A stomach ulcer, days in the hospital, weeks of recovery, and in those quiet, painful hours, I realized something. If I didn't take care of myself, I wouldn't be able to take care of anyone else. This is the trap so many fall into. The belief is that prioritizing yourself means abandoning others. That self-care is indulgence. That saying no is wrong, so people keep pushing, keep giving, keep neglecting themselves, until something forces them to stop. How many times have you ignored your own needs, thinking you were doing the right thing? How often have you placed everyone else first, only to end up exhausted, frustrated, and running on empty? Life teaches sacrifice. Society glorifies endurance. But no one tells you that burnout isn't a badge of honor, that exhaustion is not a sign of success. Constantly pouring into others while leaving nothing for yourself doesn't make you noble. It makes you lost. At some point, you have to ask yourself, who has been putting me first? If the answer is no one, then it's time for a change. It starts with understanding a simple truth. Taking care of yourself is not selfish. It's your responsibility. You cannot give your best to others if you are constantly drained. You cannot show up fully if you are running on fumes. You cannot expect to live a fulfilling life if you are only existing for everyone else. But this is where fear creeps in. The fear of judgment. The fear of letting people down, the fear of being seen as uncaring. So you stay quiet, you suppress your own needs. You convince yourself that one day you'll focus on yourself. But here's the truth. One day never comes. Neglect yourself long enough and the warning signs appear. Fatigue, resentment, a growing sense of emptiness. A quiet realization that while you have been there for everyone else, you have been slowly disappearing. This is how it happens. Not in one catastrophic moment, but in a series of small, daily choices. The times you ignored your exhaustion. The times you said yes when you wanted to say no. The times you postponed your passions, your health, your happiness, until the years slipped away. There is nothing noble about losing yourself. Nothing honorable about abandoning your own well-being. Because in the end, no one benefits. Not you, not them. So what do? You start reclaiming your life. You start making yourself a priority. You start saying no to what drains you and yes to what fuels you. You set boundaries, not as walls, but as a declaration that your time, your energy, and your well-being matter. You invest in yourself. Move your body, learn something new, reconnect with what makes you feel alive, pick up that instrument, go on that trip, do the things you've postponed for years. Because here's the reality, if you wait for the perfect moment, you will wait forever. Life will never give you free time. Responsibilities will never stop appearing. The world will always ask for more. And if you don't put yourself first, no one else will. So make the decision today, before exhaustion makes it for you, before regret replaces opportunity, before life forces you to slow down in ways you never intended. Because prioritizing yourself is not indulgence, it is not a luxury, it is a responsibility. For a misguided definition of success leads to a lifetime of regret. A man sits alone at an expensive restaurant. The table is set for one. A steak perfectly cooked sits untouched in front of him. Outside, his luxury car gleams under the city lights. His bank account is full, his schedule is packed, his business is thriving. But inside there is an emptiness no amount of wealth can fill. For decades, he did everything he was supposed to do. He worked tirelessly, climbed the corporate ladder, built a reputation, amassed wealth, and collected trophies of success. But now, as he stirs his drink and watches people laugh at nearby tables, a thought lingers in his mind. I have everything I ever wanted, but nothing I truly need. This is the reality so many faces, chasing a version of success that society glorifies, only to realize too late that it does not bring fulfillment. From childhood, the world teaches that success is about accumulation. More money, more power, more recognition. The bigger the house, the better. The more prestigious the title, the greater the worth. People buy into this idea, sacrificing time, relationships, and personal happiness, believing that once they make it, the struggle will be worth it. But what if success was never about those things? What if everything you were conditioned to believe about achievement was a lie? The problem is not ambition. Ambition drives growth. The problem is blind pursuit, climbing a ladder only to find it was leaning against the wrong wall. There is a reason why some of the wealthiest, most powerful people in the world battle depression. Why do those who seem to have it all often feel like something is missing? Because success, when defined by external validation alone, leaves a void. The man in the restaurant is not an anomaly. His story is repeated in different forms across industries, generations, and cultures. A CEO who sacrificed his family for his company, only to find himself a stranger in his own home. A lawyer who spent decades chasing promotions, missing birthdays, anniversaries, and quiet moments with loved ones, only to retire and wonder where time went. A woman who built an empire yet feels more isolated than ever because she lost connection with the people who once mattered most. At the end of life, success is not measured by net worth. It is measured by moments, by relationships, by the impact left on others. A misguided definition of success does not just lead to regret, it robs life of its meaning. It convinces people to trade what is priceless for what is temporary, to prioritize numbers over names, to chase recognition from strangers while neglecting the people who would have loved them anyway. So what is real success? It is not something that can be displayed on a paycheck or a resume. It is not something that can be counted, owned, or locked away in a vault. Success is waking up with a sense of purpose, not dread. It is having people who genuinely care, not because of what you provide, but because of who you are. It is looking back with gratitude, not regret. Society tells you to hustle, to grind, to sacrifice today for a better tomorrow. But what if, in the pursuit of tomorrow, you miss everything that makes life worth living today? This is not a call to abandon ambition. It is a call to redefine it, to pursue goals that align with real fulfillment, to build wealth without losing your soul, to climb without stepping on everything that truly matters. Ask yourself, what am I really chasing? If the answer is status, validation, or the approval of others, then at some point regret will come knocking. But if the answer is balance, purpose, and genuine happiness, then you are on the right path. No one lies on their deathbed wishing they had spent more time in meetings, owned more cars, or had a bigger house. They wish they had spent more time living. If success costs your health, your relationships, your peace of mind, it is not success. It is time to redefine what winning looks like, before it is too late. 5. The heaviest burden is trying to control what you can't. You suffer more in imagination than in reality. Most of the pain in life does not come from what happens. It comes from resisting what already is, from trying to rewrite the past, from obsessing over things beyond control, from gripping so tightly onto expectations that reality becomes unbearable. Think about the moments that have caused the most distress. Was it always the event itself, or was it the refusal to accept it? The heartbreak that lingers for years, the anger toward a decision that cannot be reversed, the worry about a future that has not even arrived. Control is an illusion, yet people fight against reality as if they can bend it to their will. They hold on to what should have been. They replay conversations, wishing they had said something different. They stress over people's actions, believing they can somehow dictate another person's choices. But here's the truth. If something is out of your control, then it should be out of your mind. Imagine someone who has dedicated 20 years to a company, only to be let go unexpectedly. The first reaction is anger, betrayal, frustration. The mind plays through endless what-if scenarios. What if I had worked harder? What if I had seen this coming? What if I had done something differently? Weeks pass, then months. They remain stuck, mentally trapped in a moment they cannot undo, allowing it to define them. Or consider a parent who constantly worries about their grown children. They give advice, offer guidance, and try to shape their decisions. But the children have their own lives, their own choices, their own paths to walk. Yet the parent still loses sleep over what might happen, over things that have never happened, over things that may never happen. These are the burdens that break people, not because they are heavy, but because they are carried unnecessarily. What if, instead of fighting reality, you embraced it? Instead of focusing on what is lost, you turn your attention to what is still possible. Instead of trying to control the uncontrollable, you focus only on what is within your reach. Because here's the thing, resisting reality does not change it, it only drains you. There are two kinds of suffering in life. The suffering that is real and the suffering that is self-inflicted. The real suffering is loss, illness, and unexpected hardships. The self-inflicted suffering is the refusal to accept, the belief that things should be different, the endless mental war against what is. Most people do not realize that they are fighting battles they cannot win. They grip the past with clenched fists. They chase certainty in a world that guarantees none. They try to control people, events, and outcomes, forgetting that control is never truly in their hands. So how do you let go? First, understand the dichotomy of control. There are only two categories in life: things you can change and things you cannot. The mistake most people make is spending too much time in the second category. If it is in the past, let it go. If it belongs to someone else's decision, let it go. If it is beyond your influence, let it go. Second, shift your focus. Energy spent worrying is energy wasted. Instead of replaying past mistakes, ask, what can I do today? Instead of fearing the future, ask, how can I prepare? Third, embrace the unknown. Life will never be predictable. No amount of planning can prevent loss. No amount of control can eliminate uncertainty. The only way forward is to accept that security is an illusion, but resilience is real. This is not about giving up. This is about redirecting energy toward what actually matters. Someone loses their job after decades of loyalty. Do they stay bitter, or do they adapt, rebuild, and find something better? A relationship ends unexpectedly. Does one remain trapped in the pain, or do they take the lesson and move forward with wisdom? Trying to control the uncontrollable is like holding onto a rope that's burning your hands. The tighter the grip, the more it hurts. The only way to stop the pain is to let go. Most people don't realize how much peace is waiting for them. If only they would release the weight they were never meant to carry. Stop fighting the past. Stop fearing the future. Stop trying to control what was never yours to control. Because real strength is not in holding on. It is in knowing when to let go. 6. What truly matters becomes clear when you look back from the end. If today were your last day, what would you regret most? The money you didn't make, the promotions you didn't get, or the time you didn't spend with the people you love? A man who spent his life building an empire sits in a hospital bed, staring at the ceiling. His body is weak, but his mind is sharper than ever. He remembers the years of relentless work, the nights spent at the office instead of home, the calls he ignored, the birthdays he missed. Now, as the machines beep softly beside him, he realizes he can buy anything except more time. A father, once too busy chasing success, watches his grown children from a distance. They have their own lives now, their routines, their priorities. He thinks about the moments he let slip away, the bedtime stories he never told, the weekends he missed, the conversations he thought could wait. But now, time has moved on, and so have they. A cancer patient facing the inevitable doesn't wish for another paycheck or another title. He wishes for one more dinner with his family, one more walk at sunset, one more chance to hold his child's hand. These are not rare stories. These are the stories of those who spent their lives chasing things that, in the end, didn't matter. When people look back on their lives, they don't remember their net worth. They remember moments, the quiet mornings with someone they loved, the risks they took, the people they helped, the times they chose courage over comfort, kindness over pride, presence over distraction. Yet most people live as if they are invincible. They put off what truly matters. They convince themselves that one day, when they have more time, they'll focus on what's important. But life does not wait. It moves forward, whether you are present for it or not. So what are you spending your time on? Are you living for your job or for your purpose? Are you chasing validation or building real connections? Are you filling your days with obligations or with things that make you feel alive? Most people don't realize they are making a choice. Every time they choose work over family, silence over honesty, or comfort over growth, they are deciding what their life will look like in the end. Imagine lying on your deathbed, looking back. The things you are stressing over today, Will they matter? The arguments, the deadlines, the temporary struggles. Will they be what you think about in your final moments? Or will you wish you had spent more time with the people who mattered? That you had told them how much you loved them? That you had put down your phone, stepped away from work, and actually lived? You do not want to reach the end and realize you spent your life on the wrong things. So change it now. Make time for the people who matter. Call the friend you lost touch with. Spend time with your children while they still want to spend time with you. Prioritize relationships over responsibilities. Say what needs to be said. Don't let pride keep you from apologizing. Don't assume people will always be there tomorrow. Don't wait until it's too late to express gratitude, forgiveness, or love. Live in a way that, when you look back, you don't say, "I wish I had." Instead, you say, "I'm glad I did." Because in the end, you won't care about how much money you make. You'll care about how much life you truly lived. 7. Don't wait until you lose something to realize its value. There was a time when I thought I had all the time in the world. Work was demanding, responsibilities piled up, and life felt like a never-ending checklist. I told myself I would make time later. Later for family, later for old friends, later for the things that truly mattered. Then, one day, later was gone. My father, once strong and full of energy, started moving more slowly. His voice wasn't as firm. His hands, once steady, had begun to shake. The man who once lifted me onto his shoulders when I was a child now needed help getting out of a chair. And that's when it hit me. I had spent years thinking he would always be there, that there would always be another weekend to visit, another conversation to have, another opportunity to say everything I wanted to say. But time doesn't wait. The same realization struck me with my children. I blinked, and they were no longer little. No more tiny hands reaching for mine. No more bedtime stories. No more innocent laughter echoed through the house. One day I looked at them and saw young adults with their own lives, their routines, and their own priorities. And I thought back to all the nights I came home late, all the moments I was too tired to be fully present, all the time said, "Not now, maybe later." We assume there will always be more time, that the people in our lives will always be there, waiting. That we can always come back and fix things, reconnect, and show our appreciation. But life does not pause. It keeps moving, whether we are paying attention or not. People often think regret comes from what they did wrong, but the deepest regrets are about what they didn't do, the time they didn't spend, the words they didn't say, the moments they let slip away. A friend loses a loved one unexpectedly and says, "I wish I had visited more." A mother watches her child leave for college and whispers, "I wish I had been more present." A man stands in front of an empty house, remembering the love he took for granted, and thinks, "I wish I had told her how much she meant to me." These regrets don't come from failure. They come from neglecting what truly matters. We rush through life, convinced that the things we are chasing, money, status, security, are the most important. But when everything is stripped away, what remains? Not the promotions, not the possessions, not the numbers in a bank account. What remains are the connections we built, the love we gave, the moments we fully lived. So how do you avoid this trap? 1. Be present. When you're with someone, be with them. Put down the phone, listen, engage. The greatest gift you can give someone is your full attention. 2. Say what needs to be said. Don't assume people know how you feel. Tell them, express gratitude. Apologize if needed. Say "I love you" while you still can. 3. Make time. Now, not later. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. There isn't one. Visit your parents. Call your old friends. Play with your kids. 4. Appreciate the ordinary. One day, you will look back and realize that the simple, everyday moments were the most valuable. The late-night talks, the shared meals, the small, quiet moments of connection. Regret is a heavy burden, but it can be avoided. Not by changing the past, but by changing how you live right now. Don't wait until something is gone to realize its worth. Recognize it, cherish it, while you still have the chance. 8. You will never have a different past, but you can control the present. The past is set in stone. It cannot be rewritten, reshaped, or undone. No matter how much you replay it, no matter how much you wish it had been different, it remains exactly as it was. But the present? That is yours to shape. A friend of mine spent years drowning in regret. He had dropped out of school, made mistakes he couldn't take back, and wasted time chasing things that led nowhere. For a long time, he let those choices define him. He told himself he had ruined his chances at success, that he had already lost too much time. Then one day, he made a decision. He couldn't change the past, but he could change what came next. He went back to school. He rebuilt his life. He stopped identifying himself with his worst mistakes and started focusing on what he could control, the present moment. Now he's in a career he loves, living a life he never thought possible. Not because his past disappeared, but because he refused to let it control his future. How often do people chain themselves to a version of the past that no longer exists? A man who let his anger destroy a relationship spends years replaying what he should have done differently. A woman who gave up on a dream in her 20s convinces herself it's too late to try again. Someone who once failed at something assumes they are doomed to fail forever. This is the weight of regret. It traps people in a world that no longer exists. But here's the truth. Regret only has power if you let it. Your mistakes, they're lessons. Your failures, they're stepping stones. Your past, it's over. No one can go back. But everyone has the power to move forward. Think about this. If you continue to let your past define you, where will you be in 5 years? 10? Will you still be dwelling on the same mistakes, trapped in the same cycle? Or will you decide that today is the turning point? Because the only question that truly matters is this: what can I do right now to create a better future? That's the difference between people who stay stuck and people who grow. The ones who stay stuck look backward. The ones who grow focus on today. You can't change the fact that you lost years to the wrong career, but you can change how you spend the next 5. You can't undo a broken relationship, but you can learn, grow, and be better in the next one. You can't go back and be a better parent, friend, or partner in the past, but you can start being one now. The moment you stop wishing for a different past and start acting in the present, everything changes. Ask yourself, what is one action I can take today that my future self will thank me for? What lesson can I take from my past instead of resenting it? What do I want my life to look like a year from now? And what small step can I take toward that today? Regret is a prison, but the key has always been in your hands. You don't need permission to start over. You don't need anyone to tell you that it's not too late. The only thing stopping you from creating a better future is the belief that you can't. Drop that belief. Drop the weight of the past. Look forward. Take action. Live. 9. Living without regret doesn't mean no mistakes. It means learning from them. A life without regret is not a life without mistakes. It is a life where mistakes do not define you, where failures are not the end, and where every setback becomes a lesson rather than a weight dragging you down. No one moves through life without stumbling. No one makes every decision perfectly. No one walks a straight path without detours, missteps, or wrong turns. And yet, some people spend their lives haunted by their mistakes, replaying them, regretting them, allowing them to dictate who they are. But mistakes do not hold power on their own. Their meaning is determined by what happens next. Some let failure paralyze them, believing it is proof of their limits. Others use failure as fuel, proof of effort, or a stepping stone to something greater. The difference is not in the mistake itself. It is in how it is perceived, in what is done with it. Regret is not born from failure. It is born from refusing to learn from failure. A wrong decision is not what leads to lifelong regret. It is the refusal to adjust the course afterward. It is the unwillingness to take responsibility, to learn, to improve. Mistakes do not destroy lives. Inaction does. The fear of failure keeps many from ever trying. But the truth is that failure is inevitable. The only real failure is standing still, avoiding risk, and refusing to step into discomfort. Every successful person has failed. Every wise person has once been a fool. Every strong person has known weakness. Growth is not about avoiding mistakes. It is about using them. If a failure teaches something, it is no longer a failure. It becomes a lesson, a tool, a necessary part of the journey. Those who understand this do not dwell on what went wrong. They adjust, they pivot, they move forward. It is easy to wish for a life without mistakes, but a life without mistakes is a life without depth, without learning, without resilience, without the hard-earned wisdom that comes only from experience. Mistakes are not roadblocks, they are signals. They tell what works and what doesn't. They refine character, test patience, and build strength. The only mistake that cannot be used is the one that is ignored. So the question is not, how do I avoid mistakes? The question is, how do I use them? To live without regret is not to erase the past, it is to own it, to take responsibility for missteps, to extract lessons, to move forward with greater clarity. If you carry your failures as proof that you are incapable, you will stay stuck. If you carry them as proof that you are learning, you will grow. Regret fades when action replaces it. So make mistakes, take risks, learn, adapt, move forward. Because a life without regret is not a life without failure. It is a life where failure is never wasted. Life does not wait. Time moves forward, whether you choose to or not. Regret is not about what happened, it is about what you allow to control your future. You will make mistakes. You will face failure. You will have moments where you look back and wish you had done things differently. That is inevitable, but what matters is what you do next. The past is unchangeable, but the present is yours to shape. Every day, you have a choice to stay trapped in regret or to use it as fuel for growth, to repeat old patterns or to break free from them, to let mistakes define you or to let them refine you. A life without regret is not a life without failure. It is a life where failure is transformed into wisdom. A life where every setback becomes a step forward. A life where mistakes do not close doors, but open new ones. So take these lessons, apply them, prioritize yourself, live fully. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, because this moment is the only one that's guaranteed. Now, I want to hear from you. What is one lesson you have learned from a past mistake? How did it change you? Share your story in the comments below, because the best way to grow is to learn from each other.